Good evening. It's 7 o'clock. I call to order the July 12th, 2022 Perry Township Board of Trustees meeting. Let's call the roll. Oh, pledge allegiance. I was jumping. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Trustee Hartshorn,
Yes.
trustee Music,
Yes.
trustee Mears is absent.
All right. This evening, we have Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Sharma here to speak to the trustees.
Good afternoon or good evening.
If you could step to the podium. The podium, we have a microphone on the podium.
Okay,
All right.
I'm a little soft-spoken anyway. So I'm here in regards to relay some information in regards to the land bank funds regarding demolition of properties. There was an engagement letter that was sent to, I think it was for or addressed to Karen in regards to demolition of certain properties, but it was an engagement letter regarding what services Coolidge Law would be providing for the township. Now, our office has been in contact with Coolidge Law quite a bit the last couple of weeks, trying to iron out what exactly they will be doing for the township. My understanding is the land bank is going to be forwarding the costs, but I just wanted to make sure the trustees are aware of what exactly Coolidge would be doing for in regards to these properties. So there was a list of different items that they mentioned. Most of it is statutory, what the township has to follow anyway, like review of procedures of how to deem a property a nuisance. All of that is statutory. So there wouldn't be any kind of real procedures that they would draft up because we're going to be following the statute. And I think Karen has a good procedure already in place for that anyway. So, and she's following the statute. The main question or the main issue is the title searches. And I think that was what was appealing to Karen about this as well, is that they would be basically doing a title search in all these properties, finding all the interested parties. They would be doing that. It's just they would not be guaranteeing any of that work. So if there were any problems later on, they will not be defending any of the problems that may arise later on. That would be a separate agreement that you would have to engage if you wanted to with Coolidge Law, and that would be outside of what the land bank is forwarding costs for. So either you would engage in a different counsel, engage with Coolidge, or the prosecutor's office would be handling any kind of discrepancy in the title if it comes up later on. Other than that, that's the only thing I think that was. I just want to make sure that the trustees are aware it's not going to absolve the township from liability. It's the same thing. They're just going to be doing the searches using public records and title searches for you. But like I said, they are not guaranteeing any kind of anything in regards to those title searches. If there's more questions, I mean, what I was hoping is not necessarily tonight, you can talk about what if you still want to engage, but maybe in the next couple of days, let me know. So if we need to draft a engagement letter or a special prosecutor's agreement with Coolidge in regards to that, we can move forward with that. But I just wanted to make sure that the trustees were aware that that is the case, that ultimately we would still be responsible for those searches. And if those properties or these reviews come to our office, we may still ask for a title company to run a search just to guarantee or do the background check just to certify that we've notified all the properties, especially in these projects where there's been demolition.
So at this point, none of the services that we would be receiving from them are actually of any value to the township.
I mean, I think it might be helpful in lightening Karen's load a little bit as far as running the searches for some of these, but you've been doing all of this all along anyway. So, I mean, it's already being done. I don't know if it's always good to have somebody check your work, I guess, but for the amount. It's up to you guys to weigh whether it's worth engaging Coolidge for that. I know that it's not going to be coming out of the township's budget,
Right.
but
And that was the missing piece as far as I have no way of searching for, these people that are out there.
well, and how have you been running these searches in the past? Just by,
All I had.
and
And that's how we found out on the one property. We didn't even know that the another daughter existed until they got involved and ran that title search.
And again, they can do those searches, but they're not guaranteed
Guaranteed.
that work.
So if we find, if they do the title searches, I think we would have to do this anyway. We would still want to certify, even if we did the work, we would still want to certify that those are,
If you want to be 100% sure and safe, yes, you would get a title company to run the search on the properties, and they do guarantee the work. Now, there's a charge associated with that. I'm not sure how much it is per title, but they do guarantee their work for these title companies. It's just something to think about. Again, the costs, I know that the land bank is paying for the this
Coolidge's
for Coolidge. Now, they won't be covering these title, it'll be on the township to cover the any kind of title searches.
So there could be some value with having them do an initial search, but then we would still have to have a title company that we're working with.
Right, especially if we're going to move forward with any type of demolition.
Yeah, and I would just want to make sure that we cross any Ts and dot any Is when it comes to demoing any kind of property.
At least right now, we have at least 2 more properties that we're going to have to look at that have been abandoned for over 15, 20 years.
Again, that's going to be up to the township. Now, if there's something that you'd like to see, we could, if you want to relay those things to me, we could talk to Coolidge to potentially include that.
Right.
And they can go back to the land bank. I'm not the one who's been talking to the land bank necessarily. We've been talking to the attorneys to see what exactly they're going to be doing.
There's no harm in getting with the land bank and finding out if that can be included as part of the
Oh,
service.
yeah,
Because otherwise, we're gonna have to go and find a title company anyhow to go into an agreement with and run these through guaranteed.
Yeah.
once we got to the point of, okay, we're done demolitions, we're going to demo this property. I think the step right before that would be to certify that you've
notified all the parties.
dotted all your i's, right?
Or would be a good idea.
The problem is the township hasn't done that before.
We haven't condemned any properties. We haven't destroyed, torn down any properties.
Okay.
So while this is something that we could have done, we have no record of doing it previously. So we want to make sure that we're doing
Okay.
steps that we need to do.
right.
I think that this is relatively new, what the land bank is doing with these demolitions of these properties.
Right.
We're trying to clear up these blighted properties. But we just want to make sure before we do something drastic like that, we notify any interested parties that this is going to happen. And we don't want to be in a suit where we're taking somebody's property.
Right.
So, and that was, I just wanted to relay that from Mr. Heck and Mr. Barentine, my boss, my
Yep.
direct supervisor. He wanted me to come out here and just let you guys know, let the trustees know that this is what's actually going to be part of the agreement with Coolidge.
So if Karen reaches out to the land bank
Mhm.
and tells them what we would like to have included in that, then she could work with your office on
Yeah, we'll see.
writing up an engagement letter.
Yeah, if Coolidge will actually do it, because I think ultimately if the land bank elects that, yes, that would be a good idea to have something like that, then they'll have to reach out to Coolidge. Since Coolidge is doing the legwork on these proper, like the searches, they're gonna see if Coolidge will include that into their costs.
So what does your office, how does your office feel about working with us or having us work with Coolidge? Is that something that's necessary? Or is that something that we need to not do
No,
and go
it's,
directly through you guys?
when you come to actually working with them, I don't see that that's a problem, working with Coolidge. I mean, that's what you're engaging them,
Right.
their services for.
Mhm.
It's just that when Mr. Heck wants to have a special prosecutor's agreement set up independently so that we have record of what the town, who is providing legal services for the township.
Right.
Since we're statutory counsel.
Right.
Okay, and that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So any other questions?
No.
Okay, then I'm going to head.
And I'll call you in a day or two.
Yep.
All right, thank you so much.
Thanks, Anu.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, Mr. Garrett. Up next.
Let's go up to sign this anyways. So I talked to trustee Mears that called me about the aggregation and we, it failed in the past. We have the program at Clay, Jefferson, Butler, now Miami here. And so I wanted to come out, she said, can you bring the documents so we can do it? And I said, certainly. Trey Bell tries to send information to the residents. Okay, so typically we'll do 3 mailings. I will hold at least one meeting, public meeting for them to come down and ask questions. We did that last time. And my only thing to Missy was, we absolutely would love to do it, but we failed it there. And so we're happy to do it as long as all the trustees have buy-in. Last time I'm not so sure there was. And we make an investment and it's a few $1,000s. It's not cheap. And we're happy to do that, but we don't want to do it if any of the elected officials are working against us. And so she said, well, let me get back to you. Now, she indicated to me that everybody was on board. And I had asked if, was everybody willing to, promote it through their social media, where if we can send them hey, this is going out in the mail, maybe you can say, have the conversation. So for residents that are concerned, and usually the concern is they think that it's the government telling them what to do. That's the big that we see out in the townships is, oh, I'm going to have to do something I don't want to do. And who are they to tell me? And that's not how these programs work. If you don't want to participate, don't participate. Don't have to. Now, in this market, and we were telling people a couple months before it happened, listen, your rates are going sky high. And the market's just going crazy. And, we have a few accounts that are really happy they had a program because they're paying 4.5 cents when everybody's paying close to 11. And so, which I was joking with the one, I said, you're beating me up over being at 4.7 versus 4.9, giving me such a hard time. I said, how do you like me now? So I wanted to come in and answer any questions that you may have on how it works, timelines. We do have to pass some agreements tonight to do it because August 2nd is the deadline for the Board of Elections. And we will typically get right to work and send some, because what we need to do is we need to get some mailings that look to say, hey, can we use the room here? What dates would work for you guys? Because we include those on the mailings to inform people that, hey, we're going to have this meeting, just come ask your questions. We handle everything. Right now, the market's up, so we can't promise you a rate. It's not there's no magic bullet. Okay. So how these things get produced is there's different groups. Well, Trey Bell's the second largest in the state. We have a lot of clients and move a lot of power. We don't have sales gimmicks. There's some groups that they put money in there to give to the government entities, and they call them grants. They're not grants.
Right.
But what they do is they call it that because they're figuring you're not bright enough to figure out what really is going on. What's really going on is they add to the rate that your folks pay, and then they give you money on the backside. That's how it works. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. We don't do that. Now, if you direct us to, we know how to do it. We can do it. It's not hard to do. And in some cases, we have some places look and say, well, geez, what if we could put solar in? And use the program to do that? Sure. And there's an argument there that, well, if you do away with your electric bill, you're saving taxpayer dollars but there's also the cost of what's that upfront expense. I don't know that in Perry Township, I see Trustee Gotzel sitting back there, and Harrison, it may make more sense. They have more volume, more residents. They have a little bit bigger government entity there. So someplace like there, it might make some sense. For Perry, I don't think that initial cost to pay back as a trustee, none of your residents will probably ever ask you. But my thing is, and you guys know I'm a trustee too in Delaware County, is, but what if they do? How do you answer them? How do you answer that? Yeah, we could have saved you a little bit more, but we wanted some money coming back to us to help us do what we need to do. I don't want to be in that position. If you do, hey, fine, we'll do it. But if it happens, don't say I didn't bring it up. So mostly how this works is, there's a market out there, power's traded. Okay. The reason your prices went up so much is the way AES and all the utilities get their pricing now is they go out to auction. Now, unfortunately, AES only did 2 for this past year. Okay. And the second one they delayed and pushed back. When they went to bid was the highest of the year. They literally got the highest price. It was like $122, which factors about 12 cents. Now, the reason you're not 12 cents is their other auction was at 76. They take those two, they average them together versus what they bought, and then they add on their costs and whatnot, and you get 10.9. That's why. And so it all goes out, and we do the same thing. Now, how we're different is, again, we aren't making side deals and we do a bid process. We send it out to all the suppliers and say, here it is, bid. They all try to, hey, how can we get more business? Give us better prices. And it works. I see tons, mostly down when you get down around Cincinnati, we have a competitor down there. And they use the same supplier for 10, 12 years. The same supplier has supplied their contract. And some of the time you look at the pricing is not good. And the reason is you never know who's going to bid what. We hardly ever have the same supplier win a bid 2 times in a row. It happens, but I can't think of an account that I've had. I started in 2014 that has been the same supplier every time. And that's a mistake because they will think, well, we got this, so we're not going to be as sharp on this. And most of our competitors, for whatever reason, that's what they do. They don't go to everybody. And we do every time. And we have a reputation to get that business. If Trey Bell brings it to us, we gotta be sharp to get it. We just have that reputation. That's why people say, oh, you guys, sometimes you make more than other people. But how we get the cheaper price? All we're concerned with is what's the price to the resident. That's what we're concerned with. So right now, today, we couldn't get you a deal because the market's at 11 cents, 12 cents. It's not going to stay there. We are doing some new things too that nobody else is doing. It moves, right? Every day, all day long, just like any market. Used to be, it didn't move much. I mean, pennies overall, right? $10 on a year for the entire group. So you could take a price, show up, say, hey, here's the price, you sign it, I take it back the next day, sign it, we're good. Those days are gone. They won't guarantee anything, and chances are price right now, as volatile as it is, the swings that it's going through, you just can't do that. What we're doing now is setting a price and gives the authority, you guys, we say we set this price and you give us the authority that if it hits below that on the market, we can buy it. Because it may only last for 3-4 hours. The reason we're doing that, the honest truth is, we had a group that had called us and asked us to come in and take over their program. They were small, okay? I think 300 people, small. At that time, we were doing rates in the 4.5, 4.6 range. It just so happened the bid came in at 4 o'clock. They left at 5, went to this meeting, they signed it, they turned it back in by 8 o'clock the next day. By 10 o'clock, prices were, they got 4.2 cents a kilowatt. It was luck. The market just dipped down right then and it was gone by the next day at 10 o'clock. So it's, that got us to thinking, how do you take it? That happens all the time. How do you take advantage of it? And so we started working on it. It took a while with legal to get everything. And now Clay is, they're signed up, ready to do that. And so what we will do is we'll wait when that market starts dropping, we'll wait. When it hits a low point, we'll lock you in. So if you guys have questions, great. If not, I need a couple motions and we'll move ahead.
I just have one. We're going to put this on the ballot as we're going to into it. What exactly is the ballot going to say, I guess, for the residents? Obviously, this is an aggregate aggregation policy.
Yeah, it's boilerplate. Let's kind of put that out. It's right here. It's not this exactly, but it's pretty close if you look at that section 1.
Okay.
It basically says to enact a program. And it's kind of funny because over the years we do those and like I said, it's the Secretary of State language.
So the goal of this is to kind of be a group plan that the township can enter into. And with the hopes of, we're going to get a lower rate on our electric.
It's a low rate, but it's also a known rate, right? So, before, and we would talk about this and we talk internally that, it's real hard to talk to people about putting something in place to hedge, right? Because everybody wants savings. We're culturally minded. Oh, it's, I can get that vehicle for $399. Doesn't matter that you got to pay 10 grand at the end, or it's not, but we think that way.
I want to be clear that we're not entering into something that's going to cost the residents more than what they could actually switch over on.
No, because you can leave at any time.
Right. And so what is offered here after that is more than what you can go get. You are more than welcome to leave this program and go get on your, I want that to be
You
clear.
don't even have to join
Okay.
in the first place.
Okay.
You're going to have people that say, oh, I'm not doing that. They vote no because they think it's government overreach. They're going to vote no. Now, that said, those people can opt back in too later on.
Okay.
So I had that happen once. A guy actually went door to door going against the program. This was in Clark County. He was a member of school board and he was the uncle of the fiscal officer in Bethel Township. And once it got put in place and started, he realized that, people are saving a lot more money than he was, and he opted into the program after the fact, the guy that went door to door against it. But no, so these programs are not meant, they are not meant to hold somebody hostage. Now, what we ask is for a commitment, this is the other thing, we want to update our contracts with you guys, because we're going to spend money. And so we want the opportunity to, all this says, and I'll have to fill out this one section, but you guys we already have this, but this updates it because we're going to go back to spending money and this says Trey Bell will run your stuff for 5 years is what it says. It also gives us the authority to sign the PCO renewal documents for you, so you don't have to go get them notarized. It's a pain. And so the only thing is we need those signatures. But you shouldn't have to participate in something you do not want to participate in. Okay, so there is an opt-out feature. Now, the people that go into the program originally are people that are with AES and only people with AES. Now, if they're on PIP or they're getting government subsidy, they're excluded. They won't go in because then they lose their discount. But they'll get 2 letters, one from the supplier and another one from the utility saying, hey, you're getting switched. And then there'll be phone numbers on both those letters that if they don't want to participate, they can get out. Now, the nice thing about no opt-out period or no opt-out or opt-out with no fees, doesn't cost them anything to get out, is let's say they don't open their mail. Okay, they forget it, lose it. They find it 2 months from now. They get upset. make a phone call. Phone call, just call them, tell them, take me out, you're out. The nice thing too is you can get back in. We believe it. We are getting lots of phone calls from people in the AES area where we have programs wanting in. So there's a freedom there. There's no holding somebody hostage. Part of the education program that, we pay for is so that they're aware of that. That this isn't a trash contract, right? Where you guys can just vote. Number one, this has to go to them, to the people. They have to vote on it. That's nice, right? Number two, unlike a trash contract where you're taking choice away, it's gone. This does not remove any choice at all. Putting termination, they can be, there's not too many of those left. But back when they started, they did. Now what some of them are doing is they're trying to get, there's one group trying to sell, and what it is,
Sorry to interrupt. Microphone is muted on Perry Township side.
Apologies for that. The guest accidentally hit the microphone. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Okay, so I'm going to go back
Okay,
and make a motion to approve resolution 2219, supplemental reallocations of appropriation for May 2022 with a net increase of $2,500.
Second that motion again.
trustee Music,
Yes.
trustee Hartshorn,
Yes. I make a motion to approve resolution 2220, supplemental reallocations of appropriation for June 2022 with a net increase of $0.
Second that motion.
trustee Music,
Yes.
trustee Hartshorn,
Yes. And I make a motion to approve resolution 2221 to request auditor certification of the current tax valuation of Perry Township and the dollar amount of revenue that would be generated by an additional 4 mil fire and EMS levy.
I also second that motion.
trustee Music,
Yes.
trustee Hartshorn.
Yes.
Also, in the last month, trustee Mears and myself held a phone conference with attorney Peter Griggs with the law firm Brosis, Johnson and Griggs to discuss options regarding the Perry Township fire levy. We are scheduled to meet with Brookville and New Lebanon on Thursday, July 14th, to hopefully have a final determination to present to the other trustees. On June 23rd, 2022, I attended the Montgomery County Township Association meeting. The same day, I also attended the Ohio Township Association webinar, Construction, Competitive Bidding and Procurement for Township FOs. I was unable to attend the Ohio Township Association webinar, Communicating Township Financial Needs Without Going to Jail, but I have been able to acquire the training to complete on my own. And for the next month, the upcoming events I have is the Ohio Township Association trainings, July 21st, which is trustee and fiscal officer compensation, budget, payment, and question and answer. And on July 22nd, the OTA is also hosting how to organize your files.
Okay, excellent. Road and cemetery.
For cemeteries, we had 2 burials last month. We had 1 cremation, 1 full burial, both at Pleasant Hill. Just completed spraying our driveways with Roundup of all of our cemeteries. We have all our graves tilled and grass planted and covered with straw. Waiting on some rain now. We are working on the cemetery grant that is due by the end of the month to try to offset some tree removal costs. Our roads, we replaced a failing 34-inch metal pipe with a double wall plastic 36-inch culvert pipe on Air Hill. We'd like to thank the city of Clayton for allowing us to borrow their road saw, water tank, and their trash pump. We also like to thank Ritter for allowing us to borrow their road plate to cover the hole. We had it for a little over 10 days. We are going to start roadside mowing next week. We're continuing to work on tree trimming and site distance issues. We will have the crack sealer late September, early October. We're going to start on Sheep Road first, work way to Schoolhouse. And we also have our items on Gov Deals. Closing date for those items are the 16th of July.
Looks like there's any interest so far on those items that have been posted.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks. Excellent. That's what we like to hear, right? Yeah. Okay.
Closer to the closing date, then it'll really pick up.
I think like the last 3 days, it's closed on a Saturday at 10 a.m. So we were hoping like Saturday morning, they could really jump in there.
There you go. All right, police report.
Our June stats are posted to our website. I received an email of encouragement regarding the hard work that all the officers are doing. And this individual spoke very highly on how the police department has made positive changes. This came actually from a deputy out of Franklin County. So he started his career here. At some point in time, he didn't give me any dates, but then moved over to Franklin County, and he still follows this police department to this day. So I sent that out to everybody so they can see that our hard work is paying off and it's being noticed over, Columbus. So We'll be assisting the Brookville Police Department with their community picnic. Our fishing derby scheduled in August. Sergeant Douglas is working on narrowing down a date. He said it's going to be like that last weekend, I think, in August. So I sent an email to a Dayton sergeant. I don't know, I'm going to butcher his name, so I'm not going to do that. Regarding LPR grants, we have the one LPR on car B. It's been pretty successful for us out here since we got a new program up and going for it. So there's grants through the Department of Public Safety. So I'm looking into that to see if we can't get an LPR for the other 3 cars as well. Weapons that we have seized throughout various court cases and such. Got those appraised through Vance, Vance is who we use to order ammo, taser cartridges and stuff from. They'll be purchasing these guns for $1,660. What they'll do is they'll apply that to a credit on our account up there. And then as we use that money, we can just deduct from that credit. So I know we got some invoices from them for ammo, and they're fine if we want to hold off until they receive the guns, which they'll be picking those up tomorrow morning and stuff, and they'll get that put onto the account, and we can just start deducting that from there right away. So August 29th through September 2nd, I'll be out teaching a class that week. September 12th through September 23rd, I will be in class. October 1st through October 7th, I'll be attending a law enforcement executive training hosted by the FBI. So I'll be out that week. And then October the 11th through the 13th, I'll be in class as well. So that's all that I have.
Thank you. Zoning report?
Quarter trash bills were sent out on June 30th, 2022. And this is a reminder to all Perry Township residents that if you have an outstanding trash bill for more than $109, it needs to be paid by September the 5th, or the outstanding balance will be turned into the auditor's office, which then will be assessed on the taxes. So those residents will be receiving a delinquent letter as a reminder, and I will be mailing those letters out August the 12th. We have a nuisance abatement hearing scheduled for this Friday, the 15th at 2 here at this office in this room. I have 6 pending permits, and I have issued 1 shed and 2 swimming pool permits since our last trustee meeting. And again, I want to remind everybody to please check with this office before building, putting up a pool or any of that, just to make sure that you don't need a permit. That's it.
All right, thank you. All right, trustee reports. I'll start. This month, I've continued to administer and update the township social media presence, perform general IT management, maintenance, and upkeep of township PC systems. Did execute a purchase of Adobe DC Pro for the fiscal officer's use, and we used the ARPA funds for that. We had that set aside. Continued weekly driving inspections of township roads, cemeteries, and nuisance properties. And I investigated several township drainage issues. I've actually got a discussion with, I can't remember his name, gentleman from Kramer and Associate, Doug, was it Doug?
I think so.
Doug. In the next week or 2, we're going to go out and talk to Mrs. Wright about her property and see what is possible and see if we can get some things together that we can then take to the county and make everybody's life a little easier by giving them what needs to be done, because it is a county responsibility. And we want to show Ms. Wright that we're trying to help. You know, if there's something that we can do, that we want to do that. And I also reviewed, we still have the fire levy surveys out there. Were you able to send that out to the other trustees? I sent it to someone.
He sent them to me, but I don't think I did.
Okay, not a problem.
I don't think I did.
Karen will get that out the next day or so.
Yeah.
A lot of good inputs. Basically, people are behind the levy. They do have some questions about our due diligence, and I think we've taken actions to make sure that we're really stepping up to that. So, and that's all I had. Trustee Music.
Okay. All right, we're gonna start here. So I want to circle back around. I did have our meeting with residents who were all here last meeting regarding the cemeteries. I want to get into that, but I'm going to go through my list of what I did and then we'll circle back. So I am now the contact for the police department. And when Trustee Mears comes back, she will then be the new contact for the cemeteries. So I'm going to circle back to her. I don't want to make any decisions tonight on anything that was said, or I just want to give an overview with Trustee Mears not being here. So with getting introduced to the police department, had a nice meeting with Chief. We discussed some things that were going on with the township. I did a ride along with one of the officers on July 3rd. Very, very interesting night. I had a good time. He was more than helpful showing us issues that I didn't realize were out there in the township. So appreciated that. On July 4th, I met with Detective Waymeyer, where I watched her process. I don't want to call it a crime scene, evidence from a crime scene. So that was kind of gave me some insight into what she does. And I appreciated that invitation as well. Sunday, I attended the ribbon cutting at the fairgrounds. We were invited to from Montgomery County Fair. So, our township very much agriculturally supportive or supported. And there was a lot of kids from the township at the fairgrounds. Go to the Montgomery County Fair and support those kids. While I was there, Representative Hummer was there. He will be our new representative for our new district. The new maps are drawn. So I met with him, had a good conversation with him. He said he would like to come to the township and introduce himself and meet all of us. So I appreciated that from him. Okay, so just kind of want to give an overview. For those of you who don't know, there was residents who had some concerns about cemeteries, and we met and had a discussion to talk about those. So just so Trustee Hartshorn's aware, what was kind of said, the number one thing revolved around Memorial Day and the quickness that the cemeteries were cleaned up. I'm saying Mr. Hoops did anything wrong at all. He did his job and I appreciate that for him. What we talked about was potentially residents would like to see is that those flowers, Memorial Day is on Monday. We leave them out till the following Monday. That gives people the entire week and weekend to come in. If they so choose to pick up their flowers that they put out, they have a chance to come get them. Even if they work all week, they have the weekend to come get them. By Monday morning, anything that is not on a headstone or foundation would need to be cleaned up so that we can continue on with our mowings. It was asked, well, how would anybody know this? How would we get the message out? Obviously, all of our normal avenues, Facebook, website. It was recommended, I think the second quarter trash bill would come out right before Memorial Day. I have to double check those dates, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. Just to put a small reminder, if that's possible on the trash bill, that, hey, all decorations need to be on headstones and foundations and would be removed whatever the preceding Monday date is. We talked about potentially adding another sign below so that we can bring more clarity to what is expected of where these things are placed. We don't want to redo the signs that we paid for, but we have underneath our March 31st and October sign, just a clarification that they would be picked up the Monday after Memorial Day, and that to reiterate, all decorations need to be on headstones and foundations. We discussed the signs at Pleasant Hill, or the lack thereof. Some ideas were there's some local stonemasons that may be able to give us some estimates. I'm going to try to reach out to them or have Trustee Mears reach out to them. There's there's a wrought iron gate, like at Golden Gate Park. I did meet with Caleb today. He gave me an estimate for one sign. I think we would want some more estimates, obviously, if we were gonna to be able to see what we want to put up. Potentially, limestone is very prevalent around here, a limestone sign, something engraved or carved. The concern was brought up about fresh graves that don't have headstones. What are those residents supposed to do about where to put their flowers? Which was, I felt, a legitimate concern. And since fresh graves normally don't have grass, we wouldn't touch them. Now, obviously, they need to be secured somehow because if they just blow across, they would be cleaned up. There was a lot of interest about potential endowment fund for Perry Township to set up. So I was going to give the charity, have her, I think it's just a line item that we would have to create an account. Don't quote me, I'm not a fiscal officer, but
I'm pretty sure we have to set up something completely separate.
and that's fine. That's fine. Whatever we need to do, because there was people that were interested in donating. And organizations like the AMVETS and the VFW have programs to help with certain things like that at cemeteries. Something we've never reached out, we've never asked. It's worth asking if they're willing to help. I did want to know when the next foundation pour, I know it's in the fall. Do you have any idea what month that might be?
September.
September, okay.
Yeah, probably mid-September.
So I talked with Caleb on some of these issues this morning, kind of hashed out some ideas. But again, if Trustee Mears is going to be the new contact for the cemeteries, I want her to take some of these ideas and not necessarily make them their own, but see what she has to add to that. So that is all I have. Do you have any questions on that?
No.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, old business. Do we have any old business? New business?
I do not.
Business, okay. Hand me the sheet. We didn't have an executive session, so I didn't get someone to be able to hand me the sheet. Okay, we still have to add the, would you like to speak?
Excuse me?
So since we have such a sprawling audience, I'll just ask if anyone has anything that they'd like to say. Any comments, concerns? Yes, ma'am, please step forward. And please don't put papers on the podium because it will mute the microphones and people won't hear you.
Okay, all right. So I'm Georgianne Godsey. I'm president of Harrison Township Trustees and the Montgomery County Township Association. So I came out to visit and to thank you for your participation in the Township Association and in the OTA. Part of what I wanted to share was that in June, I attended a county OTA meeting in Columbus, and one of the things that the main topic of discussion was House Bill 140, which is going to affect you because it's going to affect all of us. It's about the levies. And they have passed this bill, and it requires that we change the way we write the levy language. And we base it on the appraised value of the property rather than the tax value. They feel it's going to, Heidi feels this is going to be extremely confusing. It's going to make levies hard to pass. So I thought I would just come and share that with you, and thank you again for participating.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
All right, anybody else have anything? All right, with that said, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Trustee Music,
Yes.
trustee Hartshorn.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
Everyone.